All right, guys, some of you did okay with the adding and subtracting fractions, but once you got to mixed fractions, you had a little bit of difficulty. So let's just do a quick review on that. Remember, a mixed fraction is simply a fraction that is a whole number and a fraction. So that's what makes up a mixed number, a whole number and a fraction. So let's start with some adding mixed fractions first. Again, the first thing you want to do is actually simply forget about these whole numbers. You're going to just look at the fraction to start with, and you're going to do the same thing we did before. You're going to find common denominators. First thing you should always do when adding and subtracting fractions is find common denominators. I'm going to go to my highest number, 6. First multiple of 6 is 6, which is actually a multiple of 3, so it works out great. So 3 times 2 is 6, so multiply the top by 2, and you get 2 sixths. 6 times 1 is 6, times 1 is 5. So I add my numerators, so I get 7 sixths. Okay, that ends up being an improper fraction. Remember, an improper fraction is where the numerator is larger than the denominator. So I have to divide. I cannot leave it improper. So again, some of you can do this in your head, which is fine. So 6 goes into 7 one time, so that's my big whole number. And there's 1 left over. So your remainder comes on top. That's your new numerator. And your denominator always stays the same. Okay? So 7 sixths is the same as 1 and 1 sixth. Now is the time I come back and I add my whole numbers. So I'm going to add my whole numbers to this part. So 4 plus 5 is 9. 9 plus 1 and 1 sixth would simply be 10 and 1 sixth. That's my final answer. Okay? All right, let's do another one. Let's try this one. Again, forget about your whole numbers. Just look at your fractions. So 9 and 6. All right, 9. My multiples of 9. 9. The next one is 18. Ding, ding, ding. That works. So 9 times 2 is 18. Multiply my numerator by 2. 6 times 3 gives me 18. Multiply the numerator by 3. That gives me 15. So my denominators are the same. So I'm going to add. So that's 23. Again, that's improper. Okay, so 18 goes into 23 one time. That's my whole number. And there is 5 left over. So that's my numerator. My denominator is staying the same always. So now I'm going to add this mixed number to my other whole numbers. So 7 plus 6 is 13, plus 1 is 14, and 5/18. That's my answer. Okay, so adding fractions, not too much of a big deal. You just have to wait till the very end to add your whole numbers. Subtracting fractions is a whole different story. Sometimes there is some difficulties with that. Just because with regular subtraction, sometimes you might have to borrow, and that gets confusing. So let's just do a simple one real quick. If you look at this, my denominator would be 8. I'm going to go through that one quickly. You're going to still just find common denominators. So I'd multiply by 2, multiply by 1. So in this case, bring down my denominator, subtract, I get 3/8. Okay, easy. Subtract my whole numbers now, 1. So very easy in that case. If it works out that way, if this fraction on top is the larger fraction, and then you can subtract, it works out great. Unfortunately, sometimes that doesn't always happen, and you're going to have to borrow. So let's look at some examples. All right, so let's look at this one first. You need to think about this as if I don't have a fraction here. So just like if we were subtracting 135 minus 19, I need to subtract the ones place first, then the tens, and then that. Same thing here. I need to subtract my fractions first. Well, so basically, I have nothing, and I want to take away 3/7. Okay, so I'm going to have to borrow. So if I borrow from that 5, if I take 1 away from it, I'm going to leave it a 4. Okay, so I'm taking away. Now I want to bring over 1. But in this case, because I'm dealing with fractions, I want to bring over a fraction that's equivalent to 1. Remember, a fraction that's equivalent to 1 is anything where the top and bottom are the same. 1 over 1, 2 over 2, 3 over 3, such and such. If I look at this one, this makes it much easier. My denominator 7, So wouldn't it just be easy to bring over 7 sevenths? So isn't 4 and 7 over 7 the same thing as 5? I'm just writing it a different way. Okay. So now it actually is pretty easy. My denominators are the same. Subtract my numerators. That gives me 4 sevenths. Remember I borrowed here, so 4 minus 2 is just 2. 2 and 4 sevenths. Okay. So that one seems to be pretty good, but now this is where it gets a little tricky. All right, so let's do this one. Again, I'm going to find common denominators. So 4 is going to be my common denominator. 2 times 2 is 4. Times 2 is 2. Times 1 is 4. Times 1 is 3. All right, so here is the problem here. I have 2/4 and I want to take away 3/4. Can I take 2 minus 3? I can't do that. All right, so I'm going to have to borrow. This is the tricky part. So I'm going to borrow. Now I want to bring over a fraction that's equivalent to 1. 1 over 1, 2 over 2, 3 over 3. But look at your denominator. My denominator is already 4. So wouldn't it be smart to bring over 4 over 4? So I'm going to bring that over. So now I need to actually add these two fractions together. So I get 6/4 now. Now can I subtract 6 minus 3? I can. I get 3/4. Subtract my whole numbers, 5 minus 2, and I get 3. All right, this is the tricky part right here. So if you need to, you might want to go back and check that, go back over that part and listen to that again. All right. Why don't you go ahead and do these two problems, pause the video, and come back when you have your answer. All right, guys, go ahead and check your addition problem. I did that one. And I wanted to go through this subtraction one with you again since I only gave you one good example. Hopefully you got to this part with the common denominators. 9 minus 10, I cannot do it. So I'm going to borrow. So I borrow. I'm going to bring over a fraction that's equivalent to 1. If you think about it, look at my denominator is 12. So it would be smart to bring over 12/12. Okay, so now I'm going to add those two together. So that gives me 21/12. Now I can subtract. 21 minus 10 is 11/12. And 7 minus 4, or sorry, minus 3 is 4/12. Okay? If you need any more help, please let us know, especially on the subtracting that requires borrowing. That's the tricky part. Hopefully all the other things came back to you quickly. This part, if you need more help, just let us know. Have a great day.